Welcome, listeners, to the WION podcast. Today, we're diving into something many of us interact with daily, caffeine, and specifically a really interesting potential link between caffeine in our bodies, our body fat, and even the risk of type 2 diabetes.
That's right. We're looking at some new research that takes a slightly different approach. It uses genetics, actually, to explore if lifelong caffeine levels might, genuinely influence body fat and diabetes risk.
Genetics. Okay, so not just about how much coffee someone drinks.
Exactly. We already know caffeine can sort of boost metabolism short term, and observational studies have hinted, that coffee drinkers might have lower risks for some things.
Right, I've heard that, but those are just correlations, often tricky to interpret.
Precisely. So this study looked at specific genetic variations, genes that make people metabolize caffeine more slowly.
So some people naturally have higher caffeine levels circulating for longer just because of their genes.
That's the idea. They use data from, well, thousands of people, mostly European ancestry. And by looking at these genes, they can predict who likely had higher caffeine levels throughout life, regardless of cups consumed. It's a technique called Mendelian randomization.
Okay, clever. Using genes as a kind of natural experiment. So what did this genetic prediction show?
Well, the really key finding was that people genetically predicted to have higher lifelong caffeine levels. They tended to have lower BMI.
Lower body mass index
Okay.
and less overall body fat mass.
Wow. And the link to diabetes.
That was the other big part. Those same people predicted to have higher caffeine also had a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
Okay, that's significant. So higher innate caffeine levels correlating with lower body fat and lower diabetes risk.
Yes, and they actually estimated that maybe around half of the effect caffeine had on diabetes risk
Uh,
might be explained by its effect on lowering BMI.
so the thinking is caffeine helps manage weight long term, and that in turn helps prevent diabetes, or lowers the risk at least. That's a strong possibility suggested by the data. It connects the dots between caffeine's known short-term effects on metabolism and these potential long-term health outcomes, seen through a genetic lens.
It's fascinating stuff, but I guess it's not quite saying drink more coffee to lose weight and avoid diabetes, is it?
No, definitely not. Experts reviewing this are cautious. They agree it supports the caffeine fat-burning link, but proving definitively that the weight loss causes the reduced diabetes risk in this context needs more work.
Right, correlation versus causation again. And it's focused on people with specific gene variants too.
Exactly. It highlights a potential metabolic benefit for those individuals, but we can't just, generalize to everyone or recommend changing habits based solely on this.
So it's another piece of the puzzle suggesting a connection, maybe even a causal one for some people, but more research is needed.
That's a good summary. It points in an interesting